Welcome to the third part of our webinar series, Automating the Workplace. In this webinar, we will be discussing how you can connect your network to the cloud, the benefits of sending your data to the cloud, the challenges you may face, and the best cybersecurity practices. In our previous webinar, my colleague Joe Davies discussed how to automate the entire factory with an industrial network and the benefits of centralized control. In this scenario, you have a remote isolated factory with multiple production lines running, generating a huge amount of data. Imagine you are the engineer in charge of running the production of this factory, but you're self-isolating, and for some reason, you need to check what's happening in your factory. Or maybe something has gone wrong, and you are the only person who can fix it. The question is, can you resolve the issue with this kind of isolated factory? The answer is, maybe, but you will have to call multiple people and will rely on their skills to get the production running again. On the other hand, using the data generated from your factory, which might be stored in the cloud, you can make everything visible to yourself remotely. So no matter where you are, you can always see and control what's happening in your factory. You can have detailed visibility and full control of your factory remotely if you connect it to a public cloud or maybe a local cloud through the internet. And not just that, you can also improve the overall efficiency of your factory production through analyzing all the data that is being generated by all the machines and sensors in your factory. So what is this data that can help us achieve an absolute efficient factory? The normal term used for this type of data to be analyzed is called big data. You probably have heard this term being shouted about by the big cloud and networking companies. But what is big data? Big data is a term used for large and complex unprocessed data. The primary goal of big data analysis is to help companies make more informed business decisions. This data could include maintenance logs from servers or machine data captured by sensors, which are connected to the edge of the network. You can analyze this data locally or remotely. An example of the benefits of big data analysis is found in purchasing. With the data generated, you can not only tell when you're running low on stock, you can predict when it's likely to happen, allowing you to purchase just in time. Your cloud-based services can also be tied into your suppliers, automatically ordering when a threshold is reached. Some of you might know this as a Kanban system. Logistics also benefits from big data analysis. It allows you to organize trucks to take away finished products when they're needed, so they're excuse me, so they're never waiting around burning money. Predictive maintenance is another important application where you can predict when a certain machine in your factory would fail or require maintenance. Now, if you want to have a cloud-based system or maybe a cloud backup, you need to connect your factory to the public cloud through the internet. But there's a downside to using the public cloud, as it can make you vulnerable to all the threats that exist on the internet. If you can control your factory remotely, what is stopping someone else, let's say a hacker, from doing so? Over the next few slides, I'll discuss the most common internet threats as well as the best cybersecurity practices. So what could happen if you get hacked? The hacker can cause all sorts of damage. For example, they can halt your entire factory, or maybe lock your systems and demand a ransom, which has been one of the major threats last year and this year. And being a little old school, they could steal your data, maybe your secret Coke or KFC recipe. That is why it is important to take the necessary steps to ensure you're not a victim of any cybercriminal. Now, if you have decided to send your data to the cloud and need to secure the data, this starts from the ground up, which is your factory floor, all the way up to the cloud. A starting point would be to pay attention to the physical security of your network, because the last thing you want is to invest millions on cybersecurity and then realizing someone hacked your network by simply plugging in their laptop directly to your core switch. So installing CCTV cameras could be a starting point. You can also install locks where your main core networking equipment is kept and allow only authorized personnel to enter the vicinity. After taking care of the physical security aspects, let's move on to the cybersecurity. Now, when you start thinking about cybersecurity, the most basic step to take is to segment your network when designing it. You can use firewalls to divide your network into different subnetworks, or you could use virtual LANs to segment it. A virtual LAN is a feature on most modern managed switches that divides the switch into two or more parts virtually. So physically, it's one box, but internally, it's divided into two or more switches. Segmenting your network provides improved network security, as network traffic can be isolated and filtered to limit and prevent access between network zones. So if anyone is successful in hacking into your network, they will be limited to only one zone of your network, and it will be very difficult for them to move around, as the zones are usually separated through a firewall or an intrusion detection or prevention system. The next step would be to come up with a list of simple network policies. For example, assigning usernames and passwords to employees so that you know who is accessing your network. Another policy would be to restrict users on your network by maybe giving read-only privileges to some users and both read and write privileges to some other higher level users. You may also assign attributes to the users. For example, how production staff shouldn't be allowed to access information that a production manager may be allowed to. That way, you restrict access to parts of your network and secure your assets. In my experience, from what I have seen, the most common way a virus or ransomware has been introduced into a system is by the staff, plugging in a USB to take work home, or someone plugging in their unsecure phone to charge it. The next slide will explain how adding a firewall can help enforce your network policies and stop a breach from spreading. A firewall is a network device that stands as the guardian between zones of a network, analyzing all the traffic that comes up against it and deciding what to allow and what to block. Firewalls help you enforce all the network policies you might have and prevent any breaches. You can also have a demilitarized zone firewall, or what we normally call a DMZ firewall. A DMZ firewall acts as a physical or virtual barrier that is exposed to any untrusted external connections. So if anyone tries to attack you or hack you, they will be limited to the front-facing dummy or pretend network, and you can shut down the communication in time before the hacker can reach your actual network. Along with a firewall, you can have an intrusion detection system, which detects any break-ins and notifies the admin. Or you could have an intrusion prevention system, which apart from detecting breaches, it also blocks the user trying to breach your network or any of your network policies. Having these systems in place will ensure that if there is a break-in, you will have the knowledge of it, because you can't secure what you can't see. Apart from securing all your wide network assets, you also need to ensure your wireless network is secure. You need to pay special attention to wireless security, as any device with built-in Wi-Fi capabilities, for example your phone or your laptop, can connect and enter your network wirelessly. For that reason, you need to ensure that only authorized wireless devices can access your network wirelessly and not everyone. One easy way of doing so is by setting up a password and providing it to your employees. If it's a big network and you have maybe hundreds or thousands of employees, you can set up a server-based authentication where whoever tries to connect to your network will have to provide their credentials, and the server will then check against the database. if the credentials are valid and will then authorize them to enter the network. You can also have other strict policies for your wireless network, such as hiding your wireless access point so that the access points are only visible to authorized users. This doesn't mean that you have to hide the access points under your bed or maybe in a bag. It simply means that you may disable the service set identifier broadcast feature, or what we normally call an SSID broadcast feature, which basically makes the access point visible by broadcasting its presence and sending signals to everyone. By taking this action, you will ensure that wireless signals will only be visible to authorized users and are not broadcasted to everyone. Now you might be wondering, how can anyone connect to it if it's hidden and not broadcasting any signals? The answer is, you can still connect to it, but this time, apart from knowing just the password, you will also need to know the exact SSID of the access point. It is similar to knowing both username and password of your LinkedIn account, because a password is useless if you don't know the user it belongs to. By following all these steps, your whole factory floor will be secure, and the chances of getting hacked from inside or outside the network are very small. So far, we have set network policies to define the basic cybersecurity infrastructure for our network. We introduced demilitarized zones and segmented the network to isolate our valuable assets. We have installed firewalls to monitor and filter the data traffic. And also, we have placed intrusion detection and prevention systems to detect and prevent intruders from entering the network. Apart from all of this, if you require global network visibility, you can run a software on your local or cloud server, monitoring everything and keeping a log of all the information on your network. It could also ensure that all the network policies are followed, and if not followed, then enforced. Softwares designed for use in industrial networks are similar to the ones used in IT environments, with the difference being that industrial softwares support and recognize industrial protocols such as Modbus or Profibus to provide a more detailed visibility of the network. Now, as I mentioned previously, for remote access or if you're running your servers in the cloud, you need to secure the connection between your factory and the cloud. So how do we do this? There are many ways to ensure the connection from your gateway server to the cloud is secure. For example, the first step would be to use secure encrypted protocols such as HTTPS instead of using any unsecure protocols like the standard unencrypted HTTP. Another step you can take is to set up a site-to-site virtual private network, or what we commonly call a VPN, for better security and to make sure all your network traffic is encrypted. One other important step you should take is disable unused ports on all the devices that connects to your network. A hacker could manage to break in and scan all the ports on your devices. If in this process an open port was found, hacking your network would be like a piece of cake. The final step to have an absolute secure network would be to use a reliable cloud service provider. Using a cloud service provider that may have an insecure infrastructure will put you in danger as well. Firstly, you need to check the provider's business health and company profile, their certifications and the standards they comply with. Then you need to check the kind of technologies they use, their service roadmap, and the type of service level agreements they offer. Another thing you can look into is their service dependencies and partnerships, and see if they rely on someone else to provide the service they provide. Most importantly, you need to see what data security policies they have and what are their business policies if there is a data breach. So we started connecting our factory network to a remote location securely via the cloud and used the data generated to improve overall performance of the entire factory. At this stage, You might be wondering, what issues did I have with a remote unconnected factory? And why do I need to connect it to the cloud and go through the tedious process of protecting it? The answer is about all the advantages and benefits you get by doing so. We have automated the basic processes to save time and make production efficient. We automated the purchasing process by analyzing stock levels and placing orders when they're needed. We automated the logistics process by notifying the carriers when products need to be shipped. And on top of all of this, we secured our entire network by using various cybersecurity practices. Now, you don't just have a factory running, you have an entire cyber-secured ecosystem that takes into account all aspects of running a factory, from buying raw material for production to shipping final products all over the world. All of this being controlled and monitored by you with a single touch. Thank you for taking the time to join us as we explore the path from simple production process to a secure cloud-based ecosystem. We hope you have enjoyed this short series of technical seminars. Thank you for watching.